Hey there, folks. Welcome to another episode of The Healthy CEO. I'm Jason Wright, co-founder and CEO of Authentic Health Partners. And today I've got an episode that is almost contradictory to my line of work. So at Authentic Health, we produce a very special, clinically formulated by my two physician business partners, including our Chief Medical Officer, Gus Vickery. We have created a proprietary stack of essential fats, essential nutrients, and then we plug that in with essential amino acids for our foundational stack. And so it's kind of contradictory that I'm going to come on here today and talk to you about one of those triggering questions that I seem to get, and it relates around supplements. And it's when someone has listened to a podcast, very much like the one you're listening to right now. I told you this is all very oxymoronic. Is oxymoronic a word? I know what an oxymoron is, and I know you know what an oxymoron is, but is oxymoronic? I know what moronic is, but oxymoronic? Anyway, we're going to go with it. It's going to seem kind of oxymoronic. That the co-founder and CEO of a health and wellness business that specializes in supplementation and nutraceuticals gets a little aggravated when people ask about supplements. Now, granted, I don't get all upset about it. I know why they're asking. It's because I am in that line of work, and then health and wellness is what I do. And so they want to know answers. But what I get frustrated is when someone who I know their research has been as little as someone who listened to a podcast sent me this supplement and said I should start taking it. What do you think? And that's whenever the first question that I want to ask is this: how much exercise are you doing? Then the first response I'm going to give them is going to have nothing to do with supplementation. And I'm going to tell you, this audience right now, I would love for every single one of you to be on the foundational stack from our company, Authentic Health. But if you're not, that's okay. If you told me, Jason, here's what I'm doing. I'm staying up pretty late. I sleep in. My diet's kind of crappy. I'm under a lot of stress at work. My relationships, they stink. I don't drink enough water. If you told me all these things, then guess what? I'm not even going to talk to you about Authentic Health and our supplements. I'm just not even going to do it. I'm going to say we got to correct all that stuff first. We got to get you sleeping better. We got to get you eating better. Got to get you eating cleaner foods. We've got to get you moving, got to get you exercising, got to get you moving around. Those are the first things. And then whenever you start taking control of those things, then maybe we start talking about the foundational stack. Now, granted, the foundational stack that we produce is not based on, it's not all about longevity and that sort of thing. It's not really a longevity stack, which is there even that sort of thing? I'm sure that there's been marketers out there that are marketing, NMN and NR and, NAD precursors, which is basically what spawned this whole episode. The question was revolving around NAD. I get it. There are those things out there, resveratrol, that, that market their supplements as longevity supplements. That's not what our stack is. And so therefore, it might be even appropriate to say from day one, yes, you should get on this stack, but I wouldn't even do that. The first thing I would do is say, let's get you moving. Let's get you drinking more water. Let's get you sleeping better. Let's get you thinking about the physical attributes of health and the things that you do besides what you put in your body. And here's the reason why. There is not one thing on any shelf. There will be nothing that our medical professionals at Authentic Health will ever produce that will outperform exercise, movement, getting out and going for a walk, getting sunshine, letting your feet touch grass every once in a while, staying hydrated, not eating so much, trying not to be over-nourished. I mean, one of the biggest things on longevity, while we're talking about longevity, and no one can answer exactly why, other than our bodies just respond well to it. One of the single biggest benefits that you can give your body is caloric restriction, eating less. In fact, eating fewer calories than you burn has a direct correlation with longevity, at least it would seem. There's a very strong, we can't say that there's causation. We can't say that. We can't say that limiting caloric intake causes longevity. Big difference. Okay. I don't want to overstate, but there seems to be a strong correlation. We don't know why. That's why if anyone tells you that intermittent fasting is going to cause you to live longer, and they say it as fact, it's not really true. It's not a panacea. There is no panacea, but what we do know is that calorie restriction has a very strong correlation with longevity. In mice trials, mice studies that they've done over and over and over, it seems that there is something correlated with calorie restriction and longevity. Another thing, and I kind of mentioned that this whole conversation and the genesis of this episode of The Healthy CEO came from a conversation with a dear friend who asked me about NAD supplementation. Some friends had said that they were getting NAD injections. I don't think they were taking NR or NMN, which is an oral supplement that you can take as a precursor to thus generate more NAD. Without getting too deep in the weeds, that's what it is. If you hear people talk about NR and or NMN, the reason why they're taking that is not just because those supplements in and of themselves do something that's great. It's that if they do, they're precursors to help your body produce more NAD, which can increase your metabolic health, your mitochondrial health. It gives you more energy. And that's what people say. It's like if their energy levels are depleting, then they need to increase their NAD levels, which naturally taper off as we get older. Like so many other things in our body, our body produces less and less NAD. And so therefore they're looking for ways to up that NAD production to increase energy, increase performance. Makes perfect sense. It became a really popular topic of conversation when David Sinclair, Harvard researcher, came out with his research and his book, Outlive. I believe, that was Peter Attia's. Lifespan was Sinclair's book. But here's the thing. There's been a lot of follow-up research that's been done. And I'm not on the anti-Sinclair wagon. I'm not anything. I'm Switzerland here, baby. I am, because look, I'm not a scientist. And I don't call myself a biologist like Gary Brecka. I'm just a business guy who is very passionate about health and wellness, that turned that passion into a business. That's where I am. Okay. So I want everything I say today, I don't want it to come across as dogmatic. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I would ask each and every one of you, if you're listening to anything that I say, don't go buy anything. Don't even go buy the Authentic Health Stack. Don't even do that. I mean, if you do, fine, but I'm not telling you to do that. All I'm saying is go do some research, go figure it out. And so what I've done is, and where a lot of this came, or this specific question came from my friend, was someone had listened to an episode of Andrew Huberman. And if any of you listen to Huberman, then you know that he does take, I think he actually just takes NR and NMN. I don't think he gets injectable NAD. There is no oral supplement for NAD. So that's why I keep saying that. So if you're going to get NAD, you have to get it injected. And I'm pretty sure Huberman did a podcast. I think he's done several. He's done a lot of conversations with Peter Attia on NAD. And essentially what he said, and here's the condensed version of Andrew Huberman's take on NR and NMN and NAD, is he supplements for it. And he does believe, and he even says, it's not based on a trial. What his opinion is not based on a trial. It's based on anecdotal evidence as resulted in his own usage, in which he says, I do the NAD precursors, and I can mostly tell when I don't do it. He said that if his energy levels are tapering off and he takes it, he feels good. But he doesn't feel a natural, and I believe I have this right. He said that it's not like he feels some increase in energy. It's more sustained. He's able to maintain. He says he's always been a pretty high energy guy. If you know anything about Huberman, he has a pretty freaking rigorous workout schedule. Plus he does his podcast. Plus he's a professor at Stanford. Plus he's got all of his research. Obviously he's a high energy guy naturally. But what he said was when he doesn't take the precursors, thus You would think if he's not taking the precursors, there's going to be a dip in NAD. Then what's going to happen is he does feel a little bit of an energy depletion. But he was very clear about it. He said, that's just me. He said, that's what happens in me. And so the thing I would say to each and every one of you, if you're going to take Andrew Huberman's one person study, a study 1 of 1, an N of 1, like what he's done here, then let's look at it in totality. Okay, you're talking about a very fit human being. I mean, Andrew Huberman is freaking jacked. The dude like runs up hills with giant logs and stuff. He's serious. He eats well. He is a naturally bright, very intelligent guy that does a whole host of other things. Cold plunge, sauna, sleep. He does all these other things. So this is just one tiny aspect, just one little, this is like an entire symphony in only focusing on the violin. Saying, you know what? I know that to put on a concert, I need an entire symphony and everyone working in conjunction, reading the music perfectly, a good conductor. I need all that. But you know what? Screw all that. Go get me a violinist. I'm just gonna crush the violin, and then call it a symphony, and go about my day. Wouldn't work. But that's what we try to do. And so, and the reason why I get triggered is not because I'm angry or upset with the person asking me the question. I know why they're asking me the question. I know if some of you listening to this, if you've ever asked me the question, I'm not mad at you. It's more of a personal frustration. And that's why I wanted to use this episode for us to start trying to, because I have literally since last night, since this person asked me this question, I have been playing over and over in my head, how should I have answered that? Now, I took the approach last night. It was a loud restaurant where this is something that I take serious enough that I'm not going to just answer really quickly. And he's one of my best friends that I love, and I want so badly to experience incredible health. So I didn't want it to just be, it's just not one of those things that you can do as a quick little quip response of, oh yeah, it's good stuff, you should take that. And so I was like, how could I have answered this? So I was like, I just kind of avoided it last night. I said, I didn't really say anything. And I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And I thought, you know what, here's how you answer the question. It's that, first of all, ask yourself, if you are one of those people that happen to see the title of this episode and listen to it because I was going to be talking about a supplement, here's what I would ask you if you were to ask me, if I were to pose this question in a setting like this where it's quiet, not in a restaurant, and the topic at hand is, do I or do I not take NAD? My response would first be this. Well, let me ask you this. Have you had blood work drawn to look for all your other deficiencies? And are you able to see a dramatic dip in NAD production? Has your physician said that to you? That's probably the first thing. It would either be that or the exercise question. But the exercise question can be a condemning question, especially if you know the answer. If you know it's a person that just doesn't exercise because they hate exercising, they have a busy schedule. It's one of those questions that sounds condemning, and that's just never what I want to do. But that would be one of those two questions. I'd either ask, have you had blood work done? And do you exercise? The next thing I would probably say is this. Well, I don't take it. Now, look, again, that's anecdotal. That doesn't mean just because I don't do something. I also don't drink alcohol. That doesn't mean I'm opposed to all people drinking alcohol, right? There are lots of things I don't do that I don't consume. I don't eat sardines. Sardines are so good for you. You know why I don't eat sardines? I just can't get past the little spines. The little spines freak me out. I've tried and tried. I wish I could eat sardines. My little brother, who has just completely overhauled his health. I am so proud of him. Ryan Wright, if you're listening to this, I am so proud of you. He has just, I think he's down like 40 pounds. He looks amazing. And he's just taking control of his health in a way that few people that I know ever have. So it's been really cool to be able to encourage him on that journey. And one of the things he'll do is he'll send me pictures of his meals, like, hey, what do you think about this? And he'll send me the macros. and he'll send me the picture of these beautiful freaking sardines. I just think sardines look good. I mean, back in the day, remember the cartoons? They always had sardines on the cartoons with all the fancy meals. Like if they had like some Rockefeller type figure on a Bugs Bunny episode, they were crushing some sardines. I mean, sardines used to be like a delicacy for the rich. I wish so badly I could eat them, but I just can't. So anyway, I think I would say, well, I don't take it. And I'm pretty serious about my health. I take it pretty seriously. I don't take it. So that there should be, but that's not, and then the follow-up question would probably be, oh, why? Do you think it's bad? To which I would say, no, it's one of these things that the research has not shown overwhelmingly that I'm going to greatly benefit from trying to supplement to increase my NAD levels, either through NR or NMN, or direct intravenous injection of NAD supplementation. There's other things, there's other levers I can pull that I'm going to pull. And I would tell them that, look, I only take, and look, and here's where I'm the worst freaking supplement salesman on earth. I'm the worst. I'm telling you, I'm the worst. Thank God I'm the co-founder and CEO of my own company, because no one would want to hire me because I can't. I was talking to someone at dinner a little while ago, and they were asking me about our stack. And I said, you have to understand something. I hate talking about it because it makes me I feel like I'm a snake oil salesman, because I know that's what people think of people that are in the nutraceutical and supplement business. So I hate even talking about it. But I just say this, that it's the only thing I take. I add two things to the foundational stack. I add creatine. I take 5 to 10 grams of creatine every single day, and glutathione from Dr. Nayan Patel's company, Glutaril. I have no financial benefit whatsoever, but I do that. It's the body's master antioxidant. In addition, and that's it. And so I'm taking my essential nutrients, my essential fats, and my essential amino acids that come in the foundational stack for our product, and then glutathione and creatine. That's it. That's all I take every single day. And so far, my immune system is high. My blood work is great. I'm 51 and I'm maintaining 12% body fat, which doesn't have anything to do with those supplements necessarily. I mean, yes, it's, our stack is built purely for cellular health, which brings up another point though. Put our supplement stack aside. One of the things that you have to look at, and this is something else I would talk to people about, if I could get deep enough with them, okay? Because this can get really wonky really fast, and I don't want that. But I would start to talk about, hey, look, here's the deal. When it comes to NAD production, it's like if you're trying to add energy to your cell, that's awesome. I fully recommend that. But what about your cell membrane, which your phospholipids are going to help you increase the scaffolding of your cell. I always look at a cell as a car and a car engine, and that's I need an analogy to get my points across. That's just how I see things. And frankly, I don't have a scientific brain, so I need something more just in the outside, in the outer world that I can kind of relate to. And I always relate our cells to a car. If you've ever heard my conversation with Dr. Gus Vickery about cellular health and cellular efficiency, I equate cellular efficiency like that of or mitochondrial efficiency to that of an engine in a car that is not letting a lot of excess exhaust go. We want that engine to run efficiently so that all of the combustion is maintained for energy to run the engine versus some of it leaking out as exhaust, right? Like those old muscle cars, do you smell them because the exhaust is gone? Because there's these big, powerful engines, but one thing they are not efficient, right? So that's one of the things I have to do. And so whenever I'm talking to people, I also try to focus on the cell. So let's talk about cellular health. There's more to just getting energy to the cell. And if you're if you're Andrew Huberman, I'm going to make an assumption here. You're talking about a guy whose body is probably made up of pretty freaking healthy cells. So he's got a strong cell membrane. He's got good mitochondrial health. And so now he's putting NAD, he's increasing his NAD to increase the energy and the mitochondrial efficiency in a good, healthy cell. Okay, but that's only one component. That's like putting a fuel, whatever they call those, I don't know, the stuff you put in fuel for old cars to make it run cleaner or whatever. It's like, if you're putting the cleanest, best fuel, if you're putting jet fuel in an old piece of crap car with a 4-cylinder engine, that jet fuel meant to burn really fast is not going to even run the little 4-cylinder crabby engine with 200,000 miles on it that hasn't been maintained. The oil hasn't been changed. So that's my point, I guess. That's kind of a ramble to say that you've got to look at your cellular health as this thing that it's not just one thing. So NAD, increasing your NAD levels, if you can do that, that's certainly not going to hurt. I don't think although that even has been question is, can there be a downside to NAD? I just had Dr. Jose Antonio on the podcast, one of the world's foremost researchers of creatine and as well as other supplements for years and years and years. And, he said there's not really any panaceas. There's always trade-offs. There's no one thing. There's always trade-offs. There's always going to be some downside to almost anything. But except for creatine has some of the fewest downsides that there is. That's why we got into that conversation. But whenever you're talking about cellular health, it's like, well, there's all these things you have to think about for mitochondrial health, cell membrane, cell efficiency, inflammation, cell damage. How do you repair that? And so that just talking about one thing, again, it's like someone asking, I want to put together a string quartet. Let's take from the symphony to the string quartet. I want to put together a string quartet. And so therefore, I went and bought a new violin. Okay, do you know how to play the violin? No. But of the 4 string instruments in this quartet, I chose the violin. I thought that was the most important. Well, why did you think that was the most important? It's not going to be a good performing. You're not going to have a good quartet if you don't have a really good cellist. If you don't have John Henry Crawford playing cello, my friend, by the way, world-renowned cellist, Juilliard trained, and John Henry, if you happen to be listening, there you go, shout out. If you don't have John Henry as your cellist, then just you having a violin and not really knowing how the violin works and what the role the violin plays in the entire quartet, it's probably not going to be that effective. So what I want you to do is, this is the takeaway on NAD. This really isn't an NAD specific podcast. NAD was just the question that prompted this about supplementation. From the CEO of a nutraceutical company, supplements are not the answer to your overall health. They're just not. They're also, and can be, one of the greatest supporters, supplementers of the things you're doing. That's all they are. They are to supplement the things your body isn't producing at a necessary level, or it meaning that your body either doesn't produce it at all, like vitamin C, or it's something like, or essential amino acids, your body doesn't, you've got to get those from an external source. So they supplement what you're not eating, or maybe it's due to age. Your glutathione levels, they drop as you get older. So, that's your body's master antioxidant, helps you recover quicker, helps keep your immune system robust, keeps you feeling good and fighting off colds and flu and that sort of thing. So probably should supplement that to try to pick it up. It's all it is. But it's an entire symphony of actions, activities, thought processes. Maintain good breath work, good sleep, good nutrition. Don't over-nourish. Don't under-nourish. You GLP-1 takers out there, don't under-nourish. Those drugs, by design, are made to squash your appetite. So therefore, if all you're focused on is losing weight, well, you're going to lose weight, but you're not just going to lose fat. You're also going to lose muscle, which is going to be terrible for your bone density. And as you get older, it's one of the most, I tell you, I'm so glad these GLP-1s are working for so many people. I mean, especially for the folks that have really suffered with being overweight and obesity and all these things for years and years, either due to environmental reasons, genetic reasons, whatever. I'm so glad there's something that might be able to really help them out. But the concern I have is that what I see around me are a lot of middle-aged, in particular middle-aged women who are using this purely to lose weight, and they don't care where the weight comes off, fat, muscle, I don't care, just make me thin. And they're looking emaciated, and it's gonna be so hard for them to regain that lean body mass. It's a holistic approach, folks. That's really the whole point of this. This is the longest way. I mean, 25 minutes, all to say that there is no panacea. There is no one thing. There's never going to be a substitute for exercise. There's never going to be a substitute for a clean, healthy living environment. Supplements, they're just one part of it. And then when you start going down the supplement rabbit trail, it's about trying to keep it simple and focusing on cellular health. Understand where you are. Get your blood work done. Talk to a physician. Talk to someone that you trust that really knows what they're doing. Don't listen to somebody, even me, on a podcast, rave about the benefits of creatine and then just go out and buy it and not know why. Understand why you're taking it. Do a little bit of, so here's what I would encourage you to do. If you have a friend that recommends a supplement to you, berberine, for example, which is, berberine was a big one and still is for now because it's good for regulating glucose levels. I used to take berberine. I haven't been taking it because I told you I don't take anything other than our stack plus the creatine and the glutathione, but berberine forever was flying off the shelves because it was kind of like the poor man's Ozempic. That's what it was being called. You could just take it and it would control your blood sugar levels. Okay, that's fine. But go do some research. If your friend said, hey, I was listening to this podcast and all they were talking about was berberine, and I'm going to go start taking berberine so to control my glucose levels and stabilize them and help me to lose weight or at least, suppress my appetite, whatever the hell, then go to YouTube, go to YouTube University, go to Google Scholar, and go do a little bit of, just do 10 minutes of research on berberine and look for randomized control trials on berberine and just figure out what you can find out, what the reality is, and then make the decision. Do you want to make the investment? But always know this, that's always only going to be one part of, look at your body. Our bodies are these more miracles. They're just a miracle of ingenuity, right? So there's never going to be one thing that's going to make this whole thing behind this skin function, either better, worse. It's all going to be this symphonic organization of molecules helping this thing, this most miraculous of machines, operate at an optimal level. So do your homework. There is no panacea. Exercise. Thank you for listening. I'm Jason. I'm out.
The content provided in this podcast, The Healthy CEO, is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. The opinions expressed by our hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Healthy CEO. Any information provided by our hosts or guests, including any physicians who may appear on the podcast, is solely for informational purposes and does not create any doctor-patient relationship. Listeners are advised to consult with their healthcare providers before making any changes to their health routines. The Healthy CEO and its affiliates assume no responsibility or liability for any consequence resulting directly or indirectly from any action or inaction you take based on the information provided in this podcast.